as my graduation with this movement. And I will continue to put my life on the line for every single man who is out there, every single black man, because that is what a black woman does. And no, you don't have to ask us. We still do it, and we still show up. So I just want to take this opportunity to have a moment of silence. A moment of silence to remember that George Floyd's life existed before his hashtag existed.
Yes.
George Floyd was a person, he was a father, he was a son, he had a mother, he had a daughter, and he had siblings. You will remember him not as a hashtag, but as a black man who existed on this very earth. So let's just have a moment of silence, please. Ashe.
Black lives. Matter. Black lives. Matter. Black lives. Matter. Black lives. Matter. Wow. What a year it's been. When we think about the video that we all saw, I'm guessing a year ago, and many more times after that, I think it transformed many of us. I heard Nia talking about how black men cannot be martyrs any longer, and I agree with that. But his death brought us all out here. His death brought us together. His death gave us this practice of hope. Now I think in this movement, there's this element of pessimism that we clutch dearly to our hearts. And we do that as black people in this country, because we've been failed time and time and time again. We see it with Ma'Khia Bryant. We see it with George Floyd. We see it with Tony McDade. We might see it with someone here today. I was talking to somebody last night, and they told me that hope is not a belief, it is a practice. Every single day, we must practice hope in order to make it to the next day. To not be hopeful is a privilege. Black people, black women, black trans women have been through so much trauma, yet we still persevere because we practice hope. Now, there are different elements to this movement that I think some people take differently than others. For example, people are out here every single day, chanting the names, blocking the streets, blocking the tunnels. But there are other people out here that interpreted the death of George Floyd to stand up and change what's happening on a political level. We need to be everywhere. We need to be on the streets. We need to be in every single level of office. We need to be advocating for Black Lives Matter with hope everywhere. Now, my name is Chiose. I am a candidate running for city council here, right there in the 36th district in Brooklyn. The murder of George Floyd brought me to this campaign to run to defund from the NYPD, to reinvest back into our communities, to not reform a system that people call broken, because it's not broken. It's working exactly the way it works and should be. But we need to defund from those very people that kill people that look like me every single day.
Oh, God, lady, get out of here, man.
Every single sector of our society to combat the systemic racism that we endure on a daily basis. Now, I hate the go-to that people tell you. I don't know if everyone remembers that white woman in June or July that was holding on or was shouting in the streets, like, vote, 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 when people were protesting. I hate to be that, but we're in the huge election coming up this June 22nd. We really do have a chance to not just reform the system, but defund from the know you don't want to hear from another politician, but we need to do everything in our power to fight for the change that we deserve to live in. The election is this June 22nd. Please look up the mayors that are running in this race, or the mayoral candidates that are running in this race. Look up your city council candidates running in your respective district. Make sure that they are fighting for Black lives. Make sure that they're dedicated. Their campaigns and their time in office to refund from the NYPD and reinvest back into funding. Please, again, my name is George Floyd. I'm running for city council in the 36th district, and I hope you come out and vote wherever you live against the NYPD.
That's why I actually wore this shirt, because today is on day. So what this shirt means to me is that even though we're in a struggle right now, I hope and I think and I believe that we'll get better in the future. If we continue to stick together and to continue like these community protests. We've been doing it for 2 years straight now, last year and this year. And I have a lot of faith that today will go good.
As a black man, what influence Jeopardy to you?
It's a very traumatic moment for me. When I first saw it, I broke down crying because that's someone's kid, that's someone's father, that is someone's son, that is someone's brother, uncle, whoever. That is someone who is a human being living in this world. And me, as someone who cares about humans, especially BIPOC people, I'm of course going to get upset about it because a lot of BIPOC people get targeted by police, and more than Caucasian people do. And a lot of these racist protesters that are out here, like Trump supporters and stuff, they're not seen from our eye because we don't want to fight with them like we have for the past year. What we want is change. What we want is to feel safe in our community. We want to be able to potentially walk past police and not think, am I going to get stopped? Am I going to die? Am I going to see my family again? So that's what's happening.
Appreciate your words. Thanks. What's your name?
My name is Elijah.
What's your last name, Elijah?
Green, as in the color.
With an E at the end or no E?
No E.
All right. Thanks, Elijah.
Tragedies that all Black families go through. Today is my last time leaving March because I will be leaving New York State next week.
Don't you dare. I can't put you on TV.
But I will be transforming their activism and not planning it because Black people are still dying. The victories like Derek Chauvin being found guilty, challenging and pushing policy, and community strengthening. My sisters, Chelsea, Nia, Nyla, Freedom March, NYC, my friends at Strategy for Black Lives, the Stonewall community, my sisters Queen and Joella, Julian and the musicians who have supported all of us, my activist mom, Kimberly Bernard, my sister Shantae Miller, New Paul, who has been an inspiration for me, Blaze, Louise, Matt, and the entire bike crew who has protected us every time we take it to the streets. Everyone, look at what we accomplished in 1 year together. But also look at how much further we have to go. We cannot afford to lose hope. We cannot afford to render hopelessness. We cannot afford to lose. We cannot give up. I love you.
Black lives. Black lives. Black lives. Black lives. One thing we did not do is come out here to be quiet. We've been yelling and screaming in these streets for 365 days, so we did not pick this day to come out here and be quiet. So Black lives. Black lives. Say his name. Say his name. George Floyd. Say his name. George Floyd. Say his every time I get an opportunity to speak, I too get nervous because I know how important words are. And when you have the privilege and the opportunity to speak in front of people, you must not take that lightly. And I'm a proud member of Strategy for Black Lives. My name is Hercules Reed. And when I think about where I've been in 365 days, it's with them, with a family and community. And not just Strategy for Black Lives. A lot of other names was mentioned of these organizers in these groups. And we formed a community and a family that truly has been there for each other in so many different ways. The issues of our everyday people have been brought to the front of the spotlight. From police brutality to foster youth, to trans lives, to all of these important issues that should not have been at the bottom of the totem pole to begin with. But it's because of all of you and the organizers especially who day in and day out, in the hottest days to the coldest nights, as they said in that chant, took to these streets, getting arrested, not for show, not for fun, but for truly people who need representation. And I'm proud to stand with all of these people and be a part of this movement, because without you all, $1 billion would not have left the NYPD's budget, and they would not be having a conversation still about the reform that we need in the police department and all over the world. Even though we still have a lot of work to do, we truly did create change by coming out into these streets. We saw what happened with George Floyd's case. For the first time in so many years, we got to witness what happens when something works in our favor, when truly guilty people get their justice. But this fight does not stop with George Floyd, and it did not start with George Floyd. So we must continue to take to these streets over the summer. We must continue to take to these streets in the winter until we get and continue to see the justice that we need. And not that we actually need. We deserve this shit. Excuse me. Respectfully. Respectfully. We deserve what we're fighting for. So the idea that we have to fight for it is actually pretty fucking crazy. And I'm getting angry as I'm talking about it because it's crazy. You know, and I'm going to close with this, but throughout the 365 days, I heard a lot of people say that the fight was over, that people were no longer marching. And we know how wrong that was, and the different narratives that were spun on the sacrifices that people made for this movement. So let's not forget the people who have made sacrifices for us all to be here, not just this year or last year, but since forever. Our ancestors do matter. Thank you.
Everybody, thank you for coming. Good evening to everyone that's here, whether you're here in person or if you're on live or if you're going to watch this later on. Thank you for coming out, because as everyone has also acknowledged, if it weren't for you all, we wouldn't have the changes that we have to this point, at this point, and we still have so much further to go. I'm Akeem Browder. I'm the older brother of Khalif Browder. I gotta say, I don't feel strong today. In knowing that, like, what we've been fighting, not just this past year, what we've been fighting for decades, where we've come till this point. I don't know why it's still thought that black men can't feel. But if you're a black man here, and wherever you are, if you're a man, period, please put your hands up. Just know that majority of us is not here, but who is here for us is the women. The black women that's here, our black and brown family, our bodies are here. My mother is not even here, but she would be here. Khalif is not here, but he would be here. It's just so weird that Khalif is not here on his birthday, but also on the death day of George Floyd. I actually feel like breaking down all week. I haven't really had the strength that I usually display when going against the courts when going against the police, when going against the government that says, shut up and take what we give you.
Period.
Well, we're not shutting up. In fact, Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! And until Black lives do matter, we will be here. In every city, George Floyd didn't just get murdered so that we can just lay down. My brother didn't just take his life. He was pushed. And so many others. How many people realize how close we really are? Not just because we come out to these protests, which brings closeness. A lot of people don't even know Sandra Bland is my cousin. Our lives is taken and we don't even realize how close we are to it. Tomorrow I might be hashtag. Tomorrow it might be one of us. So let today count. We never know when we're going, so please give your mothers a hug. My mother's no longer here for me to give her a hug. Please give your fathers the ability, your men the ability to cry. Because that's what I feel like doing today. But instead, I'm shedding my tears through activism. When we take to these streets today, and I will. Thank you. When we take to these streets today, I'm just going to end with this. Please know that we have power, and we get our power from all of you. From my family to yours, just knowing Khalid's story, please remember the words that Khalid said. He just wanted his story to be heard. And for those of you that heard, from my family to yours, I'm grateful. Because I know he is. He's not here to know that the amount, the surplus of love that he would have gotten. And so many people just in this 1 week, I've heard mothers that watched their kids or heard their kids or got that dreadful call that their kid was murdered by these bastards. Beaten and then lied and said that, or changed the reports. This is what we need to end, qualified immunity. They need to know that they will pay and they won't be back at work because they'll be fighting court cases. Their families, their kids won't have the money that they are blessed with.
Period.
We need to end their reign of torture and terror. God bless you all. And God bless George Floyd. Thank you.
No justice. No peace. 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 Today I am feeling tired. I am feeling enraged. I'm still trying to process it all. The truth is, there should be 10 times the amount of people out here.
Yes, right. That's a fact.
What does it say about a country that it takes the entire world burning for us to wake up? What does it say about a system that it takes an entire world pressing on that system to get accountability? Because accountability is not justice. We have been organizing for a year in the name of George Floyd and so many other people that we have lost to state-sanctioned violence.
Yes.
Freedom March NYC came out of the death of George Floyd. But best believe that the history of Black women organizing, this is nothing new.
Before the cameras, we were in the community. And that's exactly where we'll go when these cameras turn off. Let's be very clear about what has taken place this past year. We saw the death of a man and the truth about a nation that we all should already know. Because history has shown us that before George Floyd, there was Emmett Till. Before Emmett Till, there were the slave ships that defined us as property.
Yes.
And then after that, we were 3/5, correct?
Yes.
So tell me how it is possible that for 400 years of oppression, 400 years of systemic racism, somehow we have reached a point where one case and the conviction of one officer means that we have undone white supremacy.
Hell no.
Incorrect.
We are not going to allow the narrative to continue to be told for us.
Exactly.
We are not going to allow you to tell us how to deal with our rage, how to deal with our pain, how to deal with our communities, and what we need. Defund the police.
Defund the police.
Defund the police.
Defund the police. Defund the police.
What is so radical about defunding a relic of slavery? What is so radical about saying that our kids deserve better?
Yes.
What is so radical about looking at New York City, one of the most quote-unquote diverse places in America, and you look from community to community and you see the segregation with your own eyes? Look at the budget. What is so radical about looking at a system that was designed as a slave-catching institution and saying no more in 2021? We want to focus so much on the destruction of property. So then why is it that we praise the Boston Tea Party?
Exactly.
Make it make sense. Is it because when white people fight for their lives, we see that as patriotic, but when black people do the same thing, we see that as a threat?
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
When we say Freedom March NYC, we mean freedom from systems. We mean freedom from the history of slavery. We mean freedom from all of the places and the apparatuses that deem us as unworthy. When we say freedom, we understand that this work is not over after a year. When you talk about the Montgomery bus boycotts, when you talk about the work that happened during Freedom Summer in the 1960s, when you talk about MLK, Ida B. Wells, John Lewis, Shirley Chisholm, their work didn't start and end in a year. So say what you want about young people, but we pull up. Say what you want about black women organizers, because we know that y'all have been talking, but we pull up. So like my sister said, this movement is just beginning. And it doesn't matter if you choose to go back home to your bed after this work is done, because we will still be outside. And we know that the power is not in the presidency. And we know that the power is not in the next New York City mayor, because let's be very clear, what a joke. And we know that the answer isn't in funding more police officers for the subways, because that's another joke. But we know that the power is in community. And we know that the power is in the people, because when the politicians were at home last summer during the death of George Floyd, it was the people that took and reclaimed the streets. So I'm going to wrap up with saying that we are committed to reimagining. We are committed to deconstructing. We are committed to defunding and reallocating and believing in not just this generation, but 7 generations forward. Because best believe that when they were saying that we should end slavery, there were folks who said, well, let's just try to figure out how we can reform the system. There were people that were saying, what are we going to do about the crops? Screw the crops. It's people's lives we're talking about. So that is the same attitude we need to have about American policing in the 21st century. Because there is no reason why the NYPD should have an Israel department. And so when we talk about Black liberation, we do it for George Floyd. We do it for Black folks all across this globe. We do it for Black women. We do it for Black trans women. So with that being said, I'm going to hand it over to my sister, New Paul, and I'll say 2 things. Defund NYPD. Free Palestine, period. And justice for George Floyd, which would look like him being alive today. No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
I need everybody to wake up. Make some noise!
M-I-L-E-R, co-founder of Freedom March NYC.
My name is Nupal Kiazolu. I'm an activist and organizer from Brooklyn, New York. I'm 20 years old, and I'm just so happy to be here with you all today, a year later, despite all the pain that we've been through this past year and on the front lines, not only fighting COVID-19, but white supremacy as well.
Free.
1 year later, on May 25th, 2020, we all saw a video that shook us to our core and changed this world forever. That video was the brutal murder of George Floyd. We originally thought it was 8 minutes and 46 seconds of Chauvin's knee on George Floyd's neck. But we later found out that for 9 minutes and 29 seconds, that terrorist had his knee on George Floyd's neck. And that knee is indicative of the knee that this country has had on Black people's necks for over 400 years. Over 400 years, this country has had its foot on our necks, and we're tired, and we're not taking this shit laying down anymore. I was in Minneapolis when everything first broke out. And I remember seeing everything burn down to the ground around me. I remember almost losing my life to the police in Minneapolis. But when I was standing and entering the eye of the fire, everything around my perimeter was in flames. I saw something beautiful. And it may sound a little crazy, but what happens
after forest fires, when they begin to grow again. Minneapolis is ground zero. And the forest fire, I'm going to use this analogy, that happened in ground zero gave birth to something new. It gave birth to this. From the ashes and the rubble that surrounded Minneapolis and cities all across this country and world, a new flower came. Love, humanity, justice, and community. And when I say justice, I don't mean the 3 counts that Chauvin got. I'm talking about the love that came out of this community. The love that brought people from all walks of life together. People that I never thought I'd see on the front lines. I remember there was a time, because I've been doing it since I was 12 years old, so before it was trendy, I remember we couldn't even get 50 people out to a Black Lives Matter protest. And then summer 2020 happened, and the world changed forever. But let me make one thing clear. George Floyd is not a martyr. George Floyd did not want to die. George Floyd did not want to sacrifice his life. So with every corrupt politician today trying to use this one year to make George Floyd a martyr, shame on you. Shame on you. Black people don't want to be martyrs. We want to be free. We want to be free. We don't need any more martyrs. We need justice. We need accountability. And we need abolition, because that's the only compromise. And when we talk about abolition, a lot of people get scared because they think that means that we're calling for anarchy and chaos. And to me, that's not what it means. It means reimagining, radically reimagining what community and public safety looks like, because this ain't it.
Hell no.
This ain't it.
This is already out of control.
When my ancestors were fighting to be free, abolitionists like Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, they had a lot of opposition. And even from their own people. Because unfortunately, those enslaved people could not see a reality aside from slavery. Because that was the only thing in front of them. But our ancestors, like Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman, had a vision greater than they could ever imagine. And because of that vision they had, I am here. Because of that vision they had, you are here. Because of that vision they had, every black person that's standing in this crowd right now is alive to live another day and tell their story of survival. So no, we may not have every single solution and every single answer to what abolition means and what it looks like in the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. But we know we can take steps to work towards that. We know we can take steps to imagine a world without policing and divesting from the system of policing that's here today. And eventually, our kids and the generations that come after us, by the grace of God, they will never have to do what I'm doing today. Because this work ain't easy. All the organizers next to me that have been here since day one, first of all, give them a round of applause. chose us. The revolution chose us. So, every single day, I just want to give you guys some practical things into practicing abolition, because if we don't even understand what that is or how we carry it out in a day-to-day basis, we will never get there. So here are some everyday examples of practicing abolition. One popular term that we all know is mutual aid. Mutual aid. But also think about this. There's been many times where we've gotten into a heated argument, whether it be with a partner, family, friends, whoever that is. But I'm pretty sure we didn't have to call the police every single time that happened, right? Right? And that right there is practicing abolition. Conflict resolution within our communities without having to involve terrorists. Restorative and transformative justice. So there are so many ways we can begin to practice what abolition looks like and protecting our communities and keeping each other safe. And before I end, I got a couple of announcements, and I feel like I have to share it with you all because I wouldn't be here without you guys. So, as many of you know, not only am I a full-time organizer, I'm also a full-time student at the illustrious Hampton University. HBCU. And I am so proud to tell you all, because I wouldn't be here without you all, that I am now officially a graduating senior of Hampton University. And I say that because I'm not just getting this for myself, but it's also for you all. So I wanted to share that with you all today. And also, last but not least, because we're just talking about mutual aid and practicing abolition, everyone has been asking me, Nicole, when are you going to start the organization? When are you going to do this, do that? Well, I'm happy to announce that I've started my own organization, and it's launching tonight, and it's dedicated to mutual aid and community service through the works and framework of abolition. The name of the organization is We Protect Us. I'll be posting everything tonight. But thank you all so much. But, rest in peace to George Floyd. I hope that we are all making you proud from above. Rest in peace to Breonna Taylor and all Black lives lost at the hands of this state. We're going to keep fighting. We're not tired. And let's keep going. I love you all. Thank you. So right here next to me, she's like my second mom, literally. Like, I've known her since I was 17 years old. Yeah, oh my God. I'm about to be 21 soon. And I met her, unfortunately, because she's a part of a club that no one wants to be a part of. And that's people that have lost their loved ones to police brutality. Her name is Angelique Pierce, and I love you, yo. You are one of the strongest women I know, literally. She's a mother, a survivor, and she's been fighting for her husband, Andrew Pierce. Say his name. Andrew Pierce. Say his name. Andrew Pierce. She's been fighting for him since day one, fighting to raise awareness, fighting to bring justice and accountability. And she's gotten so much done and so much accomplished that she can explain herself. But I love you, and here you go. Hello, everyone. My name is Angelique Pierce. The wife of Andrew Pierce, who was killed on May 11, 2017 from Schenectady Police Department. My husband
his life over 70 times within 17 minutes and died in the back of the police car. My husband did say, I can't breathe. My husband did say, I'm feeling numb. My husband did say, I feel like throwing up. And meanwhile, while Officer Mark Week thought he was lying. My husband died of cardiac arrest in the back of that police car. When they got to that police station, and the captain went up to Officer Mark Week, he asked him, what happened? He said, he was doing that I can't breathe thing over 1 year. That I can't breathe thing was the death of my husband. Officer Mark Week was like a serial killer with no empathy. And you have this man on the job. Before Andrew got killed, he got beat up. Officer Mark Week got beat up by an MMA fighter. And he stated that he couldn't be around people. And
It's okay. You got this.
You really gotta see his background. It's on YouTube. You see my husband like death in his face, and every time and each and every moment he kept on saying, please, officer, I'm begging you. He literally said, I'm begging you, please. Just for him to mock him and just let him die like an animal in the back of that car. I've been fighting for him for 4 long years, as you can see. This past June, I got his law passed, which is called the Andrew Kids Act. That states that if anybody says, I can't breathe, if anybody's in any kind of medical distress or mental illness, the officer or CO, because you know they be thinking the inmates are lying as well, they will be held and get a civil charge. This also passed June. I got it and I'm settled with it. It got held in the house 2 times. Thank you. Like I said, got in 2017. University, the 4th year university. They got back into the house with untreated water. I got pregnant and made a plea. Without no help from a fucking fake ass fucking activist, excuse me. Because I want you guys to understand this. We tired, alright? And I'm speaking for each and every survivor, okay? I'm a survivor, I am not a victim. Alright? I'm speaking for each and every one of us. We're tired of all these fake ass activists getting money, getting famous, and not speaking for our families, okay? If you don't know the names that are in your state, that go for activists, politicians, even the new people, okay? And you don't know the names in your state, you're not doing the fucking job and get the fuck out. Activists and just nobody
glamorized lasted from 1947 to 1968. Do you hear me? 1947 to 1968. We are 1 year in, and some of you are already tired. We are 1 year in. Like Chelsea said, this entire street should be packed. I shouldn't be able to see the back of this protest. We are only 1 year in. Y'all need to buckle up. You need to strap in, because we have a long journey ahead. Those that have gone before us, they fought. They fought and paid with their lives just to desegregate the South, just for the right to vote. We are fighting to completely overhaul a system that has been in place for hundreds of years. If you thought we were going to achieve that in a year or even 2 years, you have no idea what you're in. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. We are in the middle of a war. And if you think that this is anything less than a war, you have no idea what you're in. We are literally fighting to completely dismantle a system that has been oppressing Black people in this country since the very first enslaved person landed on the shores of this wretched country. This country is a fucking monster. This country is wicked. This country is vile. And I'm going to call it what it really is. Because I am going to destroy every romanticized view you have in your mind of this country. This country is evil. America is nasty. Not only does this country systemically destroy the lives and futures of Black people, from the school to prison pipeline and everything in between, this country systemically destroys Black bodies. But it doesn't stop there. It looks beyond the shores of America. It goes across seas. And it destroys bodies on the other side of the world. Free Palestine! There is not a country in this entire world, I promise you, there is not a single country in this entire world where the people who live there are Black and brown, that has not seen or experienced the evil and wickedness of America. And so, I am saying those things so you can understand what you are up against. We are up against a monster. And by myself, and you by yourself, we cannot slay that monster. But if we are working together, then the people united will not be defeated. We will dismantle and destroy systemic oppression in every corner of this country. Of this world. And if you don't believe me, watch this space. We will win. We will win. I believe that 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 we will win.
Matter. 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 Matter.
If you don't know that name, you need to learn it. Because this country doesn't only kill black bodies by kneeling on their necks. This country also mass incarcerates black bodies and destroys them over a period of time. Khalid's brother was a teenager when he was accused of stealing a backpack. That turned into 3 years on Rikers. Shame! 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 They stole his life out from under him. They destroyed his life. But that is what America does to black boys. That is what America does to black children. That is what America does to black girls. That is what America does to black women. That is what America does to black trans women. That is what America does to black men. They suck the lives out of us. They attack us from every angle and they destroy us. In the education system, in the healthcare system, in housing, in every single aspect of life. But we will win. And today, 1 year on, we served notice on the NYPD. We served notice on policing across this country. And we served notice on our government that we are coming for every single thing that we are due.
Yes.
And we are unrelenting in our pursuit of justice. We are coming. We're about to start marching. And I just want to remind you guys of a couple of things that many of you probably already know, but I'm going to remind you anyways. If there is a medical emergency, please put an X above your head and point to the person who is experiencing the medical emergency. Because who keeps us safe? We keep us safe. Right. We're going to be leaving from this direction. Organizers, please to the front. Black lives. Matter. Black lives. Matter. Black lives. Matter. Black lives. Matter. George Floyd. Matter. George Floyd. Matter. George Floyd. Matter. George Floyd. Matter. 1. We are the people. 2.
Say it louder. 3. We want justice for the people.
1. We are the people.
2. Say it louder. 3. We want justice for the people. 1. We are the people. 2. Say it louder. 3. We want justice for the people.
George Floyd. Justice for
George Floyd.
Justice for
George Floyd.
Justice for
George Floyd.
Justice for
George Floyd.
Justice for
George Floyd.
Justice for
George Floyd.
Say his name.
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 George Floyd.
Justice for
George Floyd.
Justice for
George Floyd.
Justice for
George Floyd.
guess y'all streets for real. Our streets. Whose street? There we go. Whose street? Whose streets? 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 Take it to the streets and fuck the police, no justice. We said, take it to the streets. We said, take it to the streets and we said, take it to the streets and fuck the police. We said, take it to the streets and fuck the police. We said, take it to the streets and fuck the police. We said, no justice. We
You can't stop the revolution. 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 You can't stop the revolution.
for real. And be loud. So I'm gonna give it back to Mia. And be loud.
Fuck the police! Fuck the police! Fuck the police! Fuck the police!
New York City! Come outside! Come outside! New York City! 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 Come
What did we want?